What's good, RIZZLE fam? Today we're getting into a whole lot of mess. Damon Dash, jayz, Aaliyah, R. Kelly. Man, we got a lot of huge names involved in this story. We all know Damon Dash hasn't been rocking with jayz for a long time, but what exactly happened? Why is Damon so salty with Jay? Where did it all go wrong? Well, as it turns out, there's a lot more to this story than one might think at first glance. From NFTs to profit drama and secret marriages, this story has it all. Go on ahead and grab your popcorn, sit back and relax, because we got a lot to get through today. Now, for those of you that don't know, Damon Dash is the man who was dating the late great R&B mega superstar Aaliyah right before she passed away. They never married, but according to him, they were more or less engaged before the plane crash. That being said, she and jayz had a little thing going for a little while before she got with Dash. Everybody thought their beef was cut and dry case since, exes don't always play nice when a girl of their dreams gets cuffed. Unfortunately, it turns out that's not exactly how it all went down. Instead, R. Kelly manages to get himself mixed up in this drama as well. R. Kelly and Aaliyah were married, even if they were illegally married, for a little bit back in the 90s. That was around the time that R. Kelly was really starting to pop off. At that time, Aaliyah was 15 while R. Kelly was 27. We don't really have to tell y'all how problematic that is because R. Kelly's crimes have been covered pretty much everywhere. The marriage only lasted for a year because, obviously, Aaliyah was a minor. She did admit to getting a fake ID, so she was able to sign the marriage certificate, though. Still, there's absolutely no way that Kelly didn't know what was up. In 1995, Aaliyah's family managed to get the marriage annulled, and after that, Aaliyah was able to get the marriage records expunged. Since there was no evidence now, no one really knew that this had happened. That is, no one other than Damon Dash and a few others. Shortly after the end of the marriage, R. Kelly found himself in all sorts of legal trouble. It turns out that the kind of thing that had happened with Kelly was normal for him. During this time, R. Kelly only continued to get bigger in the music world, and one of the biggest examples of that is the album Best of Both Worlds, a collaboration album with the now goated jayz. We'll talk about how that wasn't cool for Jay to do, knowing all the stuff going on with Kelly at the time, and that is where Damon comes in. Damon Dash, who's been in love with Aaliyah since before her death, wasn't just about to let that fly. That's where all his problems with Jay stems from. Aaliyah told Damon about everything that happened between her and R. Kelly, and Jay knew about it. For him to go on and just collab with somebody like that still doesn't sit right with Damon. Not only that, but Jay and Damon were homies from way back. They founded Roc-A-Fella Records together. That's absolute betrayal. And Best of Both Worlds was also put out on Dash and Jay's label. We'd be lying to ourselves if we didn't come out and say that's absolute disrespect. They also went out and did a tour for the album, so it's not like Jay even popped into the studio with one of the biggest names in R&B just to boost his career. He was hanging out with Kelly constantly while on the road. The tour for the first album didn't really go as planned, even though there was a second album put out full of songs that got recorded during that time but never ended up being released. The whole time spent on the road was pretty chaotic, including fights. R. Kelly claiming that he had a weapon pulled on him in an incident where someone on Jay's team sprayed Kelly with pepper spray for acting erratically. After that, the whole thing fell apart, but the damage done to Dash and Ho's relationship was done. It's easy to throw blame squarely at Jay, but we gotta look at the bigger picture here. How come all this was just allowed to happen? The late 90s and early 2000s were completely dominated by the music of R. Kelly, and that's what the Best of Both Worlds was supposed to do. Seat R. Kelly as the king of R&B, and Jay as the king of rap. But how did we just let that fly and continue messing with the dude's music when his trials were public and in progress? We can't be all mad at jayz here without looking in the mirror just a little bit. Dash explains his feelings on the whole situation in an interview with Hip Hop Motivators. I really am not the best of both worlds. I didn't go to a show. I didn't have my name on any of that. It's good that he's clear about where he was because that stuff came out on his label, right in the middle of everything going wrong with Kelly's life. He also went to talk about how he felt regarding Jay by saying it was over. I couldn't f with it. It was something that, to me, I don't want to say unforgivable, but I couldn't understand it. For him, Roc-A-Fella was completely over and he had lost a good friend and business partner over the whole situation. He also had his late fiance completely disrespected. Bro has more than enough reason to be angry, no matter how close he was to Jay. Fans also had a few things to say about the situation on Twitter. One fan made a good point saying, why didn't he say anything way back then? Best of Both Worlds came out in 2002. Other fans seem to agree with Dash's reasoning on the whole thing, saying things like, Dame Dash, Jay-Z's then bestie, dated Aaliyah, which means Jay-Z knew Aaliyah, which means he knew R. Kelly married her and still made music with R. Kelly. The same Jay-Z y'all act like is above criticism. Yikes. While it sounds like that's the reason he pretty much stepped down at Roc-A-Fella, that's not how things went down. At least according to him, his side of the story is that the third founder of the company, Kareem Biggs Burke, asked for more money and Jay wouldn't give it to him. This doesn't sit right with Dash, and the whole thing fell apart from there. After that, Jay pretty much took over and decided to appoint himself president. Jay also got most of his stake in Roc-A-Wear a little bit after that, making things that much worse for Dash. It's easy to see why he wasn't happy with how things were turning out. We're not sure whether Dash pulled his next move to screw with Hov since he was mad at him or if he needed the money, but this one is crazy. Dash tried to sell Jay's first album, RIZZLE, as an NFT. An NFT, for those who don't know, is a pretty complicated concept. Basically though, it's a way to give the owner exclusive rights to a digital piece of media, usually art or something like that. It's powered by Bitcoin or some other kind of cryptocurrency, depending on the NFT. They usually sell for crazy amounts of money, especially if it's something as big as the rights to Jay-Z's first album. Instead of the whole thing going off without a hitch, of course, Jay-Z's legal team decided that they weren't going to let things go down like that. They hit Dash with a lawsuit, claiming that he didn't have the rights to sell the album. For now, Dash isn't able to sell the NFT, but the ruling on the case is only temporary. The judge in the case said that Jay and Roc-A-Fella's arguments held up, but for how long? Dash is likely gonna try to appeal the decision and bargain a little more, although we have no clue how that's gonna go for him. Dash was planning on auctioning the album back in June of 2021, but the lawsuit pretty much immediately blocked him from doing that. The auction never happened, but Jay's lawyers still claim that Dash was looking to sell the NFT pretty much anywhere he could. Dash's reply also makes a lot of sense, even though it seems like he's wrong about the whole thing at first. Dash said that he's not just trying to sell RIZZLE, but pretty much his whole stake in Roc-A-Fella Records. Since he technically still owns a third of the record company, he's looking for a way out. Jay offered to buy him out in March, but the deal wasn't to Dash's liking, so he didn't go for it. The way Dash sees everything, he's an executive producer on RIZZLE. His picture is on the physical release, and he has just as much of a right to it as anyone else since he owns 1/3 of the company. We can probably assume that since he pulled this stunt, he's probably doing it to spite Jay for making him an offer that was too low, but no one really knows what the motive is. With all this additional information about the album and Dash's motivations for the whole thing coming out in court, it's pretty much anyone's game at this point. We don't know who the judge is going to side with, but both sides have some pretty compelling arguments for why the NFT thing should or shouldn't be allowed to go through. Twitter users have been coming out on both sides. One user said, Dash, you fumbled the bag years ago, now you looking for handouts. Another user pointed out how badly Dash was doing financially. LMFAO, why he put all of Damon's financial troubles on Front Street like that? Regardless of all the tweeting, the situation is an absolute mess. Even if Dash isn't doing great financially, things could go his way here. Or not. What do y'all think though? Is Jay wrong for this one? Either the whole Aaliyah thing or coming after Damon for the NFT? Who's gonna win the case? Let us know what you think down in the comments and don't be afraid to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe for more rap news and change the drop down to all so that you don't miss out on a single new video. As always, have a great rest of your day and don't forget to keep it RIZZLE.